So I got my tongue pierced recently. Tomorrow makes 3 weeks, and when I was getting research for my piercing, I only found one video on how to actually prepare for the piercing, and she did a really good job. Everything she said was helpful. But my experience was a little bit different, so I thought I'd share my experience with you guys and the things that I did to overcome my problems, and hopefully this is helpful. So, first off, I'll start my experience. There's a place where I live called $20 Tuesdays, and so I went there. I had thought about getting this piercing for at least 2 years before I got it, so I was pretty ready for it. So I got there, and of course I was a little scared at first, but after I got it done, I was like, wow, that was fast. So my tongue, so your tongue will swell. Some people's doesn't swell until the next day. Mine swole immediately after the piercing. As I walked up the shop, it swole. So, I couldn't drive home because my tongue was so swollen. I was just like, oh, I don't want to drive. So my mom drove me home, and the first day was a little rough because before I went, I only had a sandwich. So, and I got done around 2 o'clock in the afternoon. So, I couldn't eat for the rest of the day. So I was really, really hungry. I couldn't eat much for the first 3 days just because it was just so uncomfortable. So I just got frustrated with it. So I didn't eat for the first 2 days, and after 3 days, I could start eating. The way I had to eat, I had to place the food right on my molars. It wasn't enjoyable, but it got the job done. And about after a week, I could almost eat regular, and I'll explain to you why I say almost. When you get it pierced, they pierce it with a longer bar than usual to accommodate for the swelling. And my piercer used a very, very long bar. When the swelling had started to go down, the bar was so long that when I closed my mouth, I could feel it on the roof and the bottom of my mouth. So, it was hard for me. It was really uncomfortable because, I shut my mouth and I could feel the bar, on the roof of my mouth. The roof and the bottom of my mouth. So, it was really uncomfortable. So, it was uncomfortable. And I live in Maryland, but I go to school in Philly. So, I decided, and at this point, I got it done in Maryland right before in the winter break. And I was so uncomfortable that at this point, I decided to go see a piercer in Philly. So there's a shop in Philly called Infinite, and they're one of the premier piercing shops on the East Coast. All they do is piercings. They don't do tattoos or anything. They just do piercings. So I went there, and I saw Jay, and he helped me out. The bar that I had originally got pierced with was too long, that he said, even for the original piercing. And he also said that the kind of bar it was bad. It was surgical seal, but it was a bad grade of it. So they suggest that you don't change it for 4 weeks because changing it early can cause your tongue to re-swell. But he said that the bar that I had in was so bad that he would change it for me to a shorter bar, but I will have to go back in 3 weeks from the day I got it changed, but 2 weeks from today to get it changed down to the smallest bar that I'll need. I did have not a bad experience, but not as good as others because mine bled. Now, before I say this, everybody says bleeding's not okay, bleeding's not normal, it's not supposed to bleed. Bleeding, it happens. It doesn't happen to everybody, but like I said, it's different for everybody. So if it bleeds, don't be scared. If it's bleeding a lot, be scared. But mine bled for about 4 days, and after 4 days, it stopped, and I haven't had any bleeding since. The way I stopped the bleeding by rinsing with cold water, just cold water, and I'm sorry for the interruption. I'm recording on my iPhone, and I got a call. So anyway, the way I stopped the bleeding was just cold water. Jay, he's been piercing for a very long time. He's certified in Pennsylvania and Philly. He's really, really good. So, he told me that not to use warm salt water when if your tongue bleeds, because salt and warm induce bleeding, so it can cause it to bleed more. So just use cold salt water. So yeah, it happens to some people. Bleeding is okay. I haven't had any bleeding, and my tongue is almost fully healed. So yeah, bleeding, it may happen. If it's bleeding too much, like if it's bleeding and it won't stop, then I would say go see a doctor. But my bleeding, mine would bleed for about 10 seconds and it would stop. So if it's bleeding for 30 minutes or something crazy like that, I would say go see a doctor. There's probably something wrong. So how to prepare. So to prepare, one, eat a big meal before you go. I made the mistake of I ate a sandwich before I went, and I was starving for the rest of the day and to the next day, because I still couldn't eat solid food the next day. I couldn't eat solid food for about 3 days, so I was very hungry. So I would eat a big meal before you go. Second, buy soft food. So, the things that I ate, I don't like yogurt, but, everybody that I know has tongue piercing said that yogurt was really helpful. So, applesauce helped me. I like applesauce, and applesauce helps you get nutrients. So, applesauce, soup, and, another thing that helped me a lot were protein shakes. I'd have a protein shake every morning, and that helps you get the nutrients, and it helps with hunger throughout the day, so you're not so hungry throughout the day. So that helped me, and I ate a lot of soup. I still eat a lot of soup now, 3 weeks in, just because my bar is too long now, so I'm trying to do minimal chewing, so I don't hit my teeth or anything. Like, okay? Yeah, so, just so it's not knocking around too much. Secondly, make sure there's plenty of ice in your house. Ice chips for you to suck on. I know that it's putting a whole piece of ice is not gonna do anything for you. So what I did is I put the ice in a Ziploc bag, and I just hit the bag on the table to make it into chips, and I sucked on that, and that helped the swelling go down a lot, as well as ibuprofen. I took about, depends. At first, I took 600 milligrams of ibuprofen every 6 hours, and that helped with the swelling and the pain. And then, as the swelling went down, a couple days, I took 400 milligrams of ibuprofen every 6 hours still, yeah. So that helped a lot as well. So, yeah, I mean, like I said, tongue piercings, it's a lot different than getting your nose pierced or your belly button pierced, things that you don't really use. You don't realize how much you use your tongue until you get your tongue pierced. So, only other suggestion I have is that I would pick a time that if you have a job that includes a lot of talking, or you're in school and you need to participate and stuff like that, I would pick about a time that you have a break, about a week, and get it done at the beginning of your break so you can rest or whatever, and just let the healing go. I know some people have been able to get it done and go about their business that day, but just in my case, I needed that extra time because my tongue swelled so much and I couldn't do much talking. I couldn't talk very much at all. So, yeah, so I really hope that this helps you. If you have any questions, I will be so happy to answer them below if you leave a comment, because I wish I had somebody to ask all of these questions to. I know people now that have their tongue pierced, from after getting my tongue pierced, I have mine done too. So, now I know them, but, when I got done, I didn't really know anybody. So, like I said, if you have any questions, leave them down below, and I'll be happy to answer them.